Hello, and apologies for that. Nazia just had to answer the door. Welcome today to Tools for Money Management, and here we are. She is back with us again now.
Only 10 minutes, I've got to go and close the door, but hello everybody.
Fantastic. So, we're here today to talk about tools for money management, and I think this is something that is so essential and probably feels a bit scary to a lot of people. But it really doesn't have to be like that, doesn't it, Nazia?
It certainly does not have to be like that. So just bear with me a few minutes, guys. I'm a drop-off centre for the very homeless people. So this lady's bringing a load of stuff. So if you can just have Una for a couple of minutes while I just let her get her stuff, and I'll be back with you guys.
No problem. I will introduce myself while Nazia is sorting that out. So if you live in the Bury area, make sure that you're doing some giving around that as well. Contact Nazia about what that is all about and how you can help. I'm Una Doyle. I'm a business strategist and coach. I love working with creative business owners, and I have a session that can help any business owner to unlock 50k or more in only 50 minutes. If you want to know how I do that, ask me for the video on how. And we have Nazia back with us again now. So Nazia, would you like to introduce yourself for anyone who doesn't know you yet? Oh, hang on. I'd muted you so that you could speak.
Go ahead now. I'm Nazia Haque, and if you don't know me, you've got to get to know me. I basically help you with anything to do with numbers. And I just want to first start off by saying a massive thank you to all those on LinkedIn that have supported and sent messages to me and Una while we've been doing these lives. We won't be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. And it's great that it's starting to benefit people. And I know there's silent people out there that don't like to make a comment or even but you kind of know we're doing this, because whenever I go out, I notice people mention these lives that we're doing. So if you want anything else in content, just DM us, and we're more than happy to have that conversation and share that information with you. So that's me, Nazia Haque from Nazia Haque Wealth Management.
Fantastic. Great. Well, look, let's dive into our topic today. And by the way, if you are watching live, put #live in the comments. If you are catching up on the replay later, put #replay. And feel free at any point, either live or later on, to ask any questions or to share your experiences. It's really helpful for everybody else, and we're happy to come back and answer your questions as well if you have them. So hey Debbie, welcome.
Debbie.
Yeah, so good to have people here. Excellent. All right, so Nazia, what would be your number one tool that you would recommend people have for their money management?
Very interesting. It's not going to come as what you think it's going to be as my number one tip. And that is going to be, my number one tip is going to be your relationship with money, okay? All the tools in the world aren't going to make any difference if you have a negative relationship with money. So the first and foremost thing for me would be is understand what that relationship is, okay? If you don't know where you are with your relationship with money, all the tools in the world are no good. There's an actual saying about that. You can have plenty of tools in the bag, but you've got to have the lessons first. So it's about having the right mindset before you go down that journey of working with these tools, because all you're going to find is negativity with all the tools, because you're going to think they don't work, but actually they don't work because you've not got the right mindset. So it's about first understanding your relationship with money. And maybe I'm going to go down the route of saying, write it down, journal your thoughts that come up when you think about money, and really have them written down to be able to work through, or maybe work with somebody. There's plenty of people that can help, coaches that can help you with that. That would be my top tip. You can't be successful with money if you already have a bad relationship with money. So I'm sure that Una can put some sprinkling on that, because she is a coach and she does stuff like this for people.
Yeah, it's, well, as a surprise, I wasn't expecting, I mean, you're perfectly right. I just wasn't expecting you to say that. I was expecting you to say, oh, go to this website and do this. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Here's the thing, is that your money health and your business, if you have one, they're never going to get any better without like your mindset is the limiter in that. And when you release those limits by changing your relationship or improving your relationship with money, then that has a tremendous impact. And look at it this way, right? If you have a negative relationship with money, like, and what do I mean by that? Well, that when you think about money, it feels stressful, or you feel guilty, or you feel not good enough, or you feel, that you can't afford this, that, and the other. It makes you feel poor or less than, or any of those kinds of things. Or even it could be the other way around. It could be that, oh my gosh, all this money is coming in, I don't know how to handle it. That can happen as well. So if any of those things are going on for you around money, then that is definitely something you've got to change. And so interesting, yeah, Debbie saying mindset's definitely helping me with money issues as well. And Debbie's making some great strides in her business, actually. So yes, and the money mindset is definitely a part of that. So one of the things I would suggest that you do is to look at, if you were to describe your relationship with money as if it were a friend. So take Nazia's tip of what would you, of journaling, and actually journal on that. Journal on how would you describe that relationship. And that can give you some amazing insights. And then whether it's through my business or somebody else that like, do work with somebody if required to shift your mindset around money, because it will make a big difference for sure. Brilliant. Nazia, what would be another tool?
So that brings me to a tool, and it's a tool that actually Una shared with me. So when we mentioned the word journaling, it may seem to you, oh my God, I don't have time to write, I'm not good at this, but I'm much better at just saying what I feel. Use an app called Otter, and you can kind of transcript all this very easily, and you can play it back to yourself. So you could build it up after a week or month or whatever and play it back, and you'll see the changes. Or firstly, you'll establish what your problems, well, not problems, where you are in the spectrum. And then you can start analyzing how you want to improve that. But Otter's a great way. You can do the transcripts, so they're just building up. All I used to do is record myself talking about a particular subject topic, and then I used to convert it into like a PDF document thing, and stick it onto my notes section. And then when I had a bit of time, I would then spend some time to reflect what I thought at that time and how I built from it. So that's one of my tools in the kind of journaling, because not everybody can write, because I am struggling with writing. I don't know if you guys are, but as the world's changed, everything's different now. We don't write as much, so our hand muscles don't work the same. So try Otter. It's a great way of just getting it off and out. So that would be my other one. And that will move me on to another tool. So now that we've got to a point we understand where we are with our relationship, and we've dealt with that, my first tip would be is to budgeting. So have a budgeting tool. Your budgeting tool does not have to be complex. Everybody thinks it needs to be fancy, maybe another app. If apps scare you, stay away from them, okay? If you're about to embark on improving your management of money, don't bring new things in that are going to scare you. Stick to pen and paper if that is what you prefer. Don't make learning a new skill when you're already struggling to kind of master this skill of managing money. So that's my first tip. Don't start learning a new platform or a new app, because actually it's going to prevent you from managing your money, because you're creating another barrier which maybe you need to deal with on a separate occasion. So what I would say, pen and paper. Okay, shoot everything down, and the only thing you're going to have in front of you is your bank statements. Okay, all printed and ready. Keeping it simple. A couple of highlighter pens might help you, because then you can color coordinate what is essential and non-essential. But that's budgeting to the basic rawness of it. And you're not going to get distracted by any phone stuff going on. You're not going to get distracted by social media. You're literally going to spend 15 to put a little stopwatch on though, and spend maximum 15 to 20 minutes on that exercise. And once you've done the different colors of essential and non-essential, you'll quickly realize that what your monthly essential costs are, what you actually need to survive. Okay. And it'll be an interesting figure because it'll be far less than what your income is in most cases. And you'll be like, how the hell do I spend all the other money? And that will be your first point where you've learned something. You've learned that you're spending a lot more on little things that you didn't know you were spending on, them, coffees or extra sandwiches. But then it starts making you realize, if my household running costs are only £800, but suddenly my £3,000 income that's coming in the house is gone and we've got nothing at the end of the month, where is the remaining amount being spent on? And that's the moment where you can put everything away and come back to this exercise in a couple of days. But don't go to the next exercise I'm going to kind of share. What are your thoughts on that, Una?
Yeah, I think it's really key, because if you don't understand your patterns of spending, then that's going to make a big difference. Sometimes I think people can be caught up in the busyness of life, and they can end up, oh, we're not going to cook this evening, let's get a takeaway or let's eat out. And they see they're not feeling great, and so they'll do retail therapy, as people call it. And I think there can be all these things that cause money leaks. And I think, and certainly in a business, there can be a lot of money leaks where people have signed up to things and they're no longer using them, where they're maybe kind of jumping ahead and spending before they're ready on things that they don't quite need yet. Or, like, it's important to kind of, automate and use systems and to grow your team. You want to make the timing of those things can be very, very interesting. And sometimes people wait too long, but sometimes they do it too soon, when the business actually isn't, they're not able to take advantage and really maximize the return on those things. So I think having a look at all that in black and white, I think there's something about doing things in writing that, it's on paper, whether it's on screen or a piece of paper on your desk, it doesn't matter. There's just something about seeing the cold hard facts that help us to face up to reality, and it's interesting, actually. I mean, I had to, many years ago, I had to do this exercise, and I had a really, really, really big shock, a very, very, very big shock about, my financial situation. And for a little while, I had buried my head in the sand. And I think it's easy also, like, it was actually more from a place of optimism. Oh, things are going to get better. But actually, at that point, I didn't have, my mindset quite enough on point. I didn't have my business strategies quite on point. I was still, caught up in some, negative patterns that weren't helping me. So seeing that, like, it really prompted me to make some very, very important changes.
That's good news. So you've actually done the exercise, so you understand the journey of doing
Right,
that.
yeah.
That brings me
Credit cards.
absolutely.
Yeah, and absolutely.
It
So
does. It's very easily. And the other day I walked into the shopping centre, and it really it upsets me because I know what APR is, and there's a new shop open where you can borrow the money before you even get your income. And I mean, I just borrow anything from 50 to £500, and I can see it being a disaster zone for somebody. But people emotionally do lots of things when it comes to money, and don't make the best decisions when it comes to money. So that brings me to the little tip that I've got, a little simple thing. When you're holding, this is a calculator, guys, not your phone. Get a big one and put it next to you when you're doing that little exercise. And that's exercise number 1. Once you've done that and you've given it a couple of days, don't overthink it. Okay, now you've done that. The next one is, once you know, you're going to go back to exercise number 2, and you're going to really write down all the money you spend, and you're going to now divide it up. So what the non-essential stuff is, so that could be, is it anything exercise related for yourself and the kids? So I don't know, the kids go karate, I've got a gym membership, any kind of entertainment, but it's good for you entertainment. So you have 2 different types. And you've got the other type of entertainment, which is fun. So cinemas, theaters, going out, and And then the third one is takeaways. And fourth one is going out. You're going to really divide up what you're spending in each of them areas. And if you're overspending, you're going to work out which of the one that you need to cut back on first. Okay. And you have to think that in the moment when you're doing this spending, like Una said, you would have had a really hard working week, and you've worked really hard, and you're thinking, oh, too tired, or or you associate that spend as a treat. But what if I say that you plan this? Okay, so you plan your treats and you plan the X bits you're going to spend rather than do it in the moment. So it's, I don't know what that rule is. Count to 20, I think it is, or 60 before pressing the button to make that purchase, or before you order that takeaway. But if you've planned it and you've got it stuck on your fridge or anywhere, that's your budget. You'll go, actually, no, you know something, I want to have a blowout on Friday, you know, and I really want to do that. So let's keep our budget for that. And what you'll start doing is on a Saturday or Sunday, you'll start planning your meals better. You'll eat better, you'll waste less, and you feel good. So that emotional feeling you're feeling of highs and lows and giving yourself that reward, you need less of the reward because you feel better. So that's my other tip is do the second exercise on a different day, with your calculator in hand, and divide it up. And don't punish yourself. It's not a punishment. It's not an exercise to give yourself self punishment. It's an amazing achievement that you've got that far, that you're actually sitting doing that. And how many people out there don't do that? But while you're doing that, if you are a mum or a parent, it could be a dad as well, just think as you do this for yourself, what you'll be teaching your children and your loved ones. As you say, we've got a budget for takeaways, sweetheart. And what we're going to do is this week, we're not getting them. And what we're going to do, and you know what, they'll come on board and you'll teach them some amazing life lessons. You'll be teaching yourself as well as teaching them. So that's my tip number 2, to do that exercise of dividing up your essential, non-essentials on a different day. I'm going to let Una tell me what her thoughts are before I go to my tip number 3, which is already popped into my head.
Great. Well, yeah, absolutely. One of the things I would recommend actually is to have a specific time every week that you look at your finances. So call it your money date, put on some relaxing music, or if you find it hard to concentrate, use tools like Brain FM or, binaural tracks. You can just use free ones from YouTube if you don't want to subscribe to an app. But create a space for you to spend time with money and dealing with your finances. And at first it might feel a bit weird, but over time it becomes easier and easier. And you'll find that it gets faster as well, and that you're just going to do more of this. Oh, look, Debbie's just saying, I do this, today is my money date. Well, I typically do mine on a Monday morning because it's not it has got to a lot easier over the years, but I'll do it when I'm at my strongest at the beginning of the week, first thing, and then it's done, which is fantastic. So you want to take the time to do these exercises initially, but then also on an ongoing basis to have that time. And you may need to have, if you're a business owner, you may need to have 2 times, one for your business and one for personal, or you might want to kind of address them both at the same time. It depends on what works best for you and the way you prefer to structure things. But so yeah, it's great. Yeah, Debbie's saying my mother-in-law does a school run for me. Great. Don't be afraid to ask for help as well, by the way. Whether that's from a family member to allow you the time to do something like this, or whether it's because you don't know how to set something up. So my assistant, Becky, she's a virtual assistant. Like, she's done this for several of my clients. She can do it for you too. Or maybe you have a friend or family member who's really good at numbers and can help you with this. Maybe it's, your bookkeeper, your accountant, your financial planner, your business coach, whoever it is that you need to help you around this. Don't be afraid to ask that. So yeah, I'd say just make sure you're creating the space and the time to do it as well. So yeah, over to you, Nazia, for tip number 3.
I'd love to say that was a fantastic one. Ask for help. What a great, simple thing, but something again we don't do enough of. And yes, it's okay to ask anybody, any professional. A financial planner will be more than happy to guide you. Once you've got to a stage, you've got the figures and the numbers, create an Excel sheet, and that bit might throw you, or use
Google
sorry?
Google Sheets as
Yeah,
well.
Google Sheet, anything that you're comfortable with, and I'm not going to name drop anything that makes you feel comfortable. You do need to now address where you're at. It doesn't matter where you're really good or really bad or indifferent. You've got to now nail down on that day, this is what it looked like. Because if we don't know where we are now, how are we going to plan where we're going? We just can't, can we? We've got to know first and establish where we are, identify that. But then we've got to document it in a way that we can adjust it as time goes on. So I do Excel. It works perfectly for me. So I have all my income and expenditure on there, and I can see from month to month or from year to year if that's changing or increasing. And what that allows me to do personally is to, firstly, it's allowed me to assess when I'm ready to make a purchase for my first home on my own, which if I hadn't done, I would have never been able to do. For my business, it allows me to assess when I can afford to take a new staff member or if I need one and what the cost implication. It's telling me what buffer I've got in my account. And that brings me to the third tip. So now you've done all that exercise. What you're going to do is you're going to deal with the leakages now. Okay, because there's going to be some, and we're going to put a figure to that leakages because you'll have some. Because trust me, this morning I had £62. Okay, and I'm just telling you that was purely from some random subscriptions that I had bought through Apple Pay on my phone. So I sat down this morning and I went through subscription. I thought, oh, I didn't know I was paying for that. All I was paying for that £62. So I've just made £62 today, and I think I'm pretty happy with that. So that's the first leakage that we all can deal with. And it's such a simple thing to go into your phone, you go to the top bit and go to subscription, and it's telling you what's up for renewal and what you're paying. And you will not believe it. You will have something. I'll be shocked if you don't. And if you don't, great. But likelihood is you're going to find something. My next one's going to be switch off your lights. Okay. Switch your lights off that. And if you're not using rooms in your house, switch the radiators off as well. Such a simple thing. And I used to think to myself, oh my God, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I used to think that these elders were off on one. They didn't understand this. But I'm being honest, I've been recently doing this because my son moved to university and he's not using his bedroom, so I switched it off. And same with my office, is a room that I'm not using, so I switched the radio off there. My bills have dramatically dropped, and I'm quite shocked because I wasn't expecting that level of my bills dropping, but they have, and I'm being dead honest about it. The other one is just because we can afford something monthly, so I can afford my £150 electricity bill, doesn't mean I should pay more than I need to pay. So switch them. So that's where I know Debbie's online, so she's very good at that. Switch them. You can choose whoever you want, but go and do the research. So the way I describe it is, if it's going to save you £200-300, why do you want to work that extra day at work to pay extra for something that's, it's like buying 2 bottles of milk, but one you're paying £5 for, but the other one's £1. Which one would you rather pay? They're from the same farm. So again, that's another thing I would really start. Switch providers, because cars, home insurance, electricity bill do not work on the same premises. They do not reward you being there for longer. I'm really sorry to announce. I wish they did, but they don't. And if they do, and you do a comparison, there's nothing wrong with staying, is there? You can just stay. Okay?
Exactly. You've lost nothing.
And you've lost nothing. So when you've done this, when you've done, and the last one is where you're going to cut back on the area that you've decided you're going to do that cut back on. And that could be less takeaways, less going out, buying less presents. You know, this thing about presents that people do that don't have a lot of money.
Great time of year to talk about that.
Yeah, it drives me insane because they want to keep up with everybody. They buy expensive gifts to give to children's parties and thank yous in an expensive way. But what they're trying to do is build a kind of buy into a relationship. And what I'm saying is you don't have to spend a lot. Only buy gifts according to your own means. You do not have to spread it more than that. If your budget doesn't allow you, don't do it. Okay? It'll be much like
Please don't put Christmas on your credit cards.
don't do it anymore because
It's not worth it. I mean, half the time people are buying other people presents that they don't even want or use anyway.
yep.
Maybe, you can do things like have somebody around, I don't know, often there might be a way of doing something for somebody. Maybe if they're parents, maybe they'd like to have babysitting instead of an actual gift, or maybe you could make them something if you're crafty, or maybe you want to be a bit more crafty and you're going to do that instead of something that's more expensive, or there's all sorts of ways that you can actually have more meaningful gifts as well as kind of staying within your budget at the same time.
100%. And I think I was having this conversation with my middle child that's 17, 18. And believe it or not, we had this conversation in the car on the way home the other day. And I said, what do you remember about one of your Christmas? And you know what? It was never the gift they were bought. It's what they did at that time. It's the smells, the memories, all that. Having a stressful parent is not the answer. It's not
No.
giving them anything. Okay. So don't follow everybody. Just be within your means. I mean, that is an amazing way to live, and you'll live a much happier life as well. So that was my third tip that was going to give. I'm going to move on to my fourth one, which is a little bit more many of you might know it exists and many of you don't, but I want you to go and run an Experian report on yourself to really establish what you're borrowing. Okay, so you can really keep an eye on what that borrowing capacity is looking like and what you're paying monthly for that borrowing. Okay, so go and get an Experian report. It'll be really good for you as a person if you're thinking of maybe remortgaging, because you will need to have good credit rating. Okay, if you're buying your first home, okay, you're going to need it. It doesn't matter what part of your life it is, you're going to need an Experian report, and do it. Do not subscribe. Well, how you go on it is you subscribe to it, you put your bank details in, but in the same instant, please go on to the section that says cancel subscription and cancel it. You've got your report. You don't need to pay that £15 a month. And I'm sorry, Experian, if you are watching, but
You don't pay £15. I don't pay anything for Equifax.
yeah, but don't get me wrong. If your credit rating is really messed up, keep it for a couple of months and work with Experian to work out how you can improve that, because they are very good at giving you top tips on how to improve that. How it could be a simple thing that you're not on the electoral register properly, or your ex-partner's still on there. There could be loads of ways, but they are very good at helping you there as well. So I'm saying if your report's okay and you can manage it to come off, if you feel you need that extra, you can. And anyway, you get 30 days free anyway, so you can use that time to make that call with them then. So that's my that's my other, quite like on a serious sort of level kind of tip number 4.
Fabulous. I've got a couple of tips I'd like to share as well, a couple of tools that I think would be really helpful for people. So one is look to have a bank account or bank accounts, like where if you've got personal and business, that allow you to have pots or spaces. And what that means you can do is, your money goes in, like, so if you think about your money, like imagine this for your business. Imagine it's like a highway, and so money is coming in. So it's like coming in off the slip road, like onto a motorway, and you have different lanes. So you have one lane for all your necessary expenses. You have another lane for your discretionary spending. But as Nazia said, you're deciding ahead of time how much that's going to be. And you also want to be having another lane, as soon as you can have it, if you don't have it already, for savings and investments and things like that as well. And just imagine that then by having, so the money's coming into this one account, but then you have those pots, and it's like they're the little off ramps for your money to go and to sit in, to be able to be dealt with. But then you always know, like, maybe you even have a separate account for your discretionary spending for your personal life. And then, you know, I only have to go into that account and see how much is left, and I know exactly how much I actually have, as opposed to there's all this other money in here and I don't know what's what. You might think you have more money than you actually have, but you then have got direct debit, standing orders, you know, card purchases, recurring payments, and things that are going out all the time. So you want to organize your money in that way, and that will really, really help you. And then the other thing that I'd like to share, which I'm not sure if I've shared on this one before, is a tool called focusmate.com. It's a virtual video co-working. And it basically really helps you to make appointments with yourself. So you're actually in the platform, you can book either 50-minute or 25-minute sessions, and you'll be partnered with another person. And you can work on whatever you want during that session. It can be personal, it can be business. You just state what your goal for the session is at the beginning. So they do the same, you know, kind of quick intro, and then you crack on with the work, and then you just check in at the end to see how you got on. And it's just amazing. I'd say like 9 out of 10 people I know who have tried this love it and have found it amazing. You can have 3 sessions a week for free, and it's a whopping amount. I think it's about $5 a month for unlimited sessions. So what I'm saying is use this if it helps to have your weekly money date, or to put some time aside to work on your finances and getting things in order. And it just helps for many people. They will show up when somebody else is involved in a way that they don't show up when it's just for them. So yeah, so those are a couple of things that I think could be some practical tools I think could be really helpful as well. So great. I think there's been some, you know, a great process there. Okay, that
we've tried to do it into stages so that you don't have to get overwhelmed. That is my first thing. Don't get overwhelmed. Do it in little mini stages, because I promise you, and this is my promise to you, if you declutter your finance, it doesn't matter if you, like I keep saying, where you are in that spectrum. It really doesn't matter. But as long as you know where your starting point is, you will declutter it and you will feel the best you've ever felt. I promise you with that, because it clears your mind, and it's a bit like having a tidy handbag. Okay, it really truly is the nicest feeling, and I've got mine here and it is very tidy, I have to tell you. And the tidy handbag really makes you feel good, and that feel good factor will roll into your personal and your business life. So remember, a good financial system that you've put in place for yourself will make that difference. Now, this brings me to my final tip. Once you've done all that, start planning, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. If you don't plan where you want to go next, you're going to make some silly mistakes. And I'll tell you some of the mistakes small business owners have made, and I'm having conversations with them. So their business is successful and they've managed to manage their money. They're not in debt. And the first thing they go and reward themselves is go and get a lease car. Great, it's a nice reward, but actually they wanted to buy their first house. Now that particular payment is knocked down from the mortgage payment, mortgage borrowing they would have got. Not the loan amount, but the monthly amount. So the car costs $250 a month. Now, if they were going to give that mortgage, they're going to minus off that amount. Now, that's terrible news, because they can't now get rid of the lease. They have to wait 15 months or maybe 2 years or 3 years. And now they're stuck. Okay. So they have to wait another financial year to increase their earnings, to do X, Y, and Z. So my top tip is, please don't go and get a hire purchase. Go and make a plan before you buy the purchases. So that's my other one.
Plan, then decide.
Then decide. Plan, then strategize. And make the numbers.
Decide what you want. Create a strategy for it.
Yeah. So that's happened a couple of times with clients. And another one is, stop telling your accountant that you just want to pay the least amount of tax. You're not going to get the borrowing commercially or personally, because what you're doing is you are evidencing that you're not good with money. Now think, guys, when you're borrowing money, you're evidencing you're good with money, okay? If you're showing that you're turning over loads and bringing home very little, You're not doing that, guys. So as far as you basically just knocked yourself out, even though your business is successful, because you just didn't want to pay the tax bill. So be prepared.
It could be the situation that you don't need borrowing, and then you need different strategies for what you want to do. But if you don't have those conversations with your accountant, with your financial planner, with your business coach, like, you need to be talking to all three of those people, to really have the clarity on what it is that you want and how to achieve it, and how to achieve it in the most cost effective way possible, which actually could mean paying more tax.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. I'm not encouraging you to pay more tax forever, because I can give you loads of top tips, which should be a different call, and how to use that tax bill in the future. But what I'm saying is, you've got to match your need, whatever your need is, with the outcome. It's just not going to happen if you don't align them two things. It's the not aligning them that causes the problem.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So alignment is really, really important, guys. And put down, like I said, do not expect an accountant to do a financial planner's job. They don't, okay? We're two different people, we're two different professions. Stop confusing them. Anybody that complains to me about their accountant, I always say the same thing. You're actually expecting more than what their profession is telling them to do. It's like you're telling the GP to be the surgeon. He can't do it, okay? He wasn't qualified for that. Yes, he's in the medical industry. We're in the numbers industry, but we don't do the same jobs, guys.
Yeah,
So
that's a great analogy. I love that.
yeah, so that's a good way of kind of putting it. So get your plan together with yourself and your partner. It's important that if you are in a marriage or cohabiting, and if you are joining your finances, that you have these conversations.
Absolutely.
Again,
Look back on our streams, there's plenty that we've shared around those kinds of conversations. So unfortunately, we've got to wrap it up now today. Can you believe we've gone for so long again? I think there's some great value there. I'd love to know, what do you think? Comment below, let us know what has been helpful for you, or something that has worked for you that you'd like to share with other people as well. And if you would like any help with any of this stuff, make sure that you have connected with and are following Nazia and myself, and we're always happy to speak to anyone who wants to know more about anything we've been talking about here today. Nazia, thank you very much. Some great tips as always. Bye for now. We won't be here this next week. I'm doing another exhibition, but we'll be back the following week, and we will see you then. Bye for now.
See you later. Bye-bye.